Welcome back to Hospitality Talks. I'm your host, Abid Butt. Today, the industry is stepping into a lodging market defined by intense margin pressures, persistent inflation, and the challenge of refinancing in a tighter lending environment. In this kind of landscape, generic strategies simply do not work. Success requires precision, discipline, and the ability to find value where others see complexity. Our guest today has built his career doing exactly that. Jimmy Merkel is the CEO and co founder of Rockbridge, a hospitality centered investment firm managing more than $5 billion in assets with an investment track record exceeding $11 billion across more than 300 properties. He sits at the fascinating intersection of real estate acumen, creative placemaking, disciplined capital allocation, and purpose driven leadership. In our conversation today, we'll explore how he uncovers mispriced opportunities, underwrites risk, navigates distressed and complicated capital structures, and builds team rooted in integrity. We will also talk about the impact he has made beyond the balance sheet, which has been pivotal in his belief systems throughout his career. Jimmy, welcome to Hospitality Talks. It's great to have you with us.
Thank you, Abid.
Well, Jimmy, we'll dive right in. If you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about your personal journey, how did you get into real estate investments and specifically lodging as an asset class?
Yeah. No, I have a little different story, I think, than many that got into hospitality. So I feel very fortunate that my path took me here. It's a special industry, and really enjoy it. So I grew up here in Ohio, and like any little boy, they want to spend time with their dad, and nothing lit my dad's interest and engagement than when I asked him questions about his passion, which was investing. At a young age, his passion was studying companies and doing research and understanding value and investing. And so when I was about 10 years old, I made an investment in a company of $200, and it turned into $600. And I thought that was the most amazing thing in the world. I didn't do anything. I just made a choice of what company or investment to back, and created value. So that really is what kind of lit that passion for me of investing and understanding value, and then being penalized or rewarded based on the work you did. And so that's what I wanted to do, and thought that I would do that more literally with companies and public companies. But I went to school, and I ended up being a history major, and but I knew I was going into business. I was going into investment, and there's a long story there that I won't go into. But um, and that was really important, and that it was a study of human behavior. It is a study of why things happen the way they did. It was research and critical thinking, but where you take a lot of variables um, and come to your own conclusion and support it. It's really what I do today, in making good investments, and then supporting that vision, thought process, strategy to create good outcomes for our investors. And and so I knew I needed to get an investing job, and because I was a history major, it was going to be a little bit harder path. And I interned with an investment company here, an alternative investment company, and they put me in the real estate investment group. And it was an alternative investment platform, and the principals were developers, but they started a hospitality company and brand, and totally vertically integrated in the 80s. And if they were here, they'd tell you they made every mistake in the book. Um, but it was based on that experience that they really learned the business, and then started this fund um, to invest, and that started in '93. I interned in '95, and then they offered me a position to join, and it was a small group, but you don't realize this at the time, and the people that you come in contact with. But I was just really fortunate. They were really smart, uh, hardworking, high integrity, um, strong executives, and really learned a lot very quickly because we were smart doing sophisticated things, and they knew um, a lot about the business. And a guy named Ron Callentine really taught me the business. I was about 25, um, but we they got acquired, and we were able to spin off our business unit and form Rockbridge.
Uh-huh.
And I was one of four partners. Now my partners were 20 years older than me, and that's why I'm the last one standing. But Rockbridge wouldn't be Rockbridge without all four of us, and I was just really blessed to meet and work for people that just had such high integrity and were very good at what they do, and hardworking and collaborative, and just good humans.
Fantastic.
And so that's how Rockbridge got formed 27 years ago, and we've been growing the business over that period through multiple cycles, and
Amazing.
nine nine investment funds. But like in any business, we're a very different company today, rooted in the same philosophies and success patterns that we had in the early days. But if you're not innovating uh, and changing, then the world's changing around you, and it'll leave you behind. And so we've
Yep.
been continuing to push ourselves to get better and better at what we do, and get more sophisticated at it, and that has expanded our business quite a bit. And I'm proud to say that uh, we're the best version of ourselves today, and I'm more excited about what's to come today than I was 27 years ago. We've got the right people, we've got the right strategy, and it's up to us to execute. And we're a hands-on, roll up your sleeves, learn it all organization, and I have no doubt that uh, we'll continue to grow and get better as an organization.
Amazing, amazing story, Jimmy. Looking back from your first investment and mentorship from your dad and anybody else that came along, some of the lessons learned from your dad about thoughtful investments, how much of that still sticks with you today as you're dealing with multi-million dollar investments?
Yeah.
And how much of your investment have yielded the same results as your first investment?
Well, I've learned 3x on anything is pretty darn good. So, and it's always good to start with a winner. I've always been curious. I've always engaged. I loved relationships, and connections, um, and I always wanted to know why something was the way it was. And so a lot of people have influenced me over the years. And one of the things that I say is that all the answers to life and the world are in history and in nature. And so if you're paying attention, and if you pay attention to what is around you, and so I'm a good observer. I ask a lot of questions, and I like to learn. So that kind of rooting what is innate about me, and what has served me well, and how I've led this company, in that I want to learn until the day I die, and grow, and just have a growth mindset. It makes me and the organization very resilient. At the end of the day, we believe that there's a better future ahead, and when we make a mistake, um, or we have a setback, those are amazing opportunities. If you look at it like that, it's so valuable, and you learn from those, and it's just feedback of where you need to adjust. My saying is, don't judge me at any one point in time, judge me over time, because I'm going to make a lot of mistakes. I'm going to take risk, but I'm going to figure it out, and I'm going to uh, do everything that I can do to create the outcome that uh, that we thought we could. So it takes a lot of twists and turns. And so, with getting back to your question on my dad, what that really taught me was understanding true value, not being emotional about volatility. You have people that don't understand um, the value of a company. It's really about understanding the company, understanding their strategy, understanding their competitive positioning, understanding the value of that company and the forward earnings of that company. And are you buying it at a fair price? Are you buying it uh, at a value? um, and and then believe in the work that you did um, to draw your conclusions, and that so really having a grounding in value, and the underpinnings of that versus the emotion of the volatility of price or what's happening in the world around you. There's lots of reasons why companies go up and down in value at any one point in time. Um, but long-term investors are rewarded because you're much more likely to be right over 5 years than to be right over 1 or 2 years. So I am pretty calm in the storm, and that has been really helpful. And who are the people that you respect? What are their behaviors in how they carry themselves, how they lead, um, and how they live their life. And so I was never impressed by money. It's really the character of the person, and I want people to be successful. And Warren Buffett has a saying that uh, and I won't get it right, but the gist of it is basically, if you're an asshole, and then you're really successful, you're just an asshole with a lot of money. And so that influenced me. Ron Callentine, certainly the most direct kind of mentor, and is somebody who really was a titan of our industry, that if you know, you know, um, but wasn't out there self-promoting himself. He was just getting the job done and making good decisions. Learned a lot from him, and just really respected him and his style. He was able to take complex things and make them simple, and um, really, that is the art of nature. Really, is something that's so complex that and is beautiful, but is to the naked eye just beautiful. Just had a lot of mentors, but just observing more, and continue to challenge myself in all areas of my life, personal and professional, to just be a better version of myself going forward. I love hospitality, and hospitality is just a great business. It uses all sides of my brain. Um, I'm a right brain, left brain person, and the creative problem solving, the creativity and development, making things happen. If you are uh, willing to work, willing to show up, work hard, learn, um, then you can take your learning in hospitality as far as you want
Exactly.
to take it. Given all the divisiveness in the world today, it just doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter what color you are, what religion you are, male or female. It's the same root skill that brings us together in a property and a hotel community. The root skills is yet you have to like people, and you have to be willing to show up, and you have to be willing to work hard and want to learn. And if you do that, there's really nothing that you can't do, or where it can take you.
Well, look, that's absolutely amazing. There is lots to unpack there, so I'll take bits of it at a time. Humility is a wonderful thing. A lot of us under pressure tend to forego that. Also, being able to lead from the front, particularly in turbulent times, gives the rest of the team some comfort as opposed to
That's right.
uh, 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 creating more chaos. So, thank you for sharing those principles. I'm sure it helps the team a lot. We know that a lot of businesses, particularly hospitality, has become a very cyclical business. We are always trying to time perfectly the next cycle, and we live by quarters these days. So, having a long term horizon in the view and planning for mid to long term as opposed to fighting fires, I'm sure that helps a great deal. We'll come back to that. Rockbridge started out as an investment platform initially, but it has evolved to a completely vertically integrated organization with construction discipline, with operating discipline, with design discipline. And of course, you've kept the heritage of investment in the organization. Talk a bit about that evolution and what pushed you to that, because most of the time, institutional money or investors just want to invest and leave all the rest to somebody else.
Yeah, so it kind of correlates to what you were saying before, is that to create a good, durable, long-term business, you cannot be a market timer. It's very well documented. If you just take traders, for example, it's very, very difficult to create a long-term, durable business trying to time the market. We knew from the beginning that uh, we were going to make good decisions in assets that we could make durable over the long term. And regardless of what our horizon or investment timing might have been, um, we are always trying to create durable value because that's what protects principal. And we have a huge aversion to losing money. And so when you zoom out a little bit, the the hospitality business and investing in hospitality is a growth business. You just look at the total revenues of hospitality, and they reach higher highs with inflection points. And so, when I got into the business, if you bought a property in 1995 and it was you had the right principles rooting real estate, location, investment, condition, renovation, basis, um, and you experienced 1998 with the long-term debt crisis. You then experienced 9/11. And then if you held through that and you did all those things right, you created a lot of value from 95 to 2005. Now, if you bought in 2005 and did all those things right, and then you lived through the global financial crisis and came out on the other side and then sold in 2015, you created a lot of value. And the same thing is true if you bought in 2015 and did all the right things and sold in 2025, you created a lot of value in the asset. So it's the key is what you're doing and how you're driving cash flow to the bottom line in the property. And ultimately, people buy cash flow for their investments. And so if we're focused on driving cash flow over our hold period, then even if cap rates are where they are today than where they were in 2018, you still created value because we have more cash flow than we did in 2017 and 2018. And you create the multiple of capital. Now, when you go through a crisis, your IRR comes down, but our equity multiple stays the same. And so the goal is to have both the opportunity to drive value and high IRRs and create a strong equity return and equity multiple for our investors. But if we hit an event that is out of your control, like the GFC or or COVID, then you want to be protected in the intrinsic value of the asset. And so why we evolved our company is learning how we were going to manage risk. So and through each cycle that we went through, we learned lessons. Um, and so, for example, we want to put the money into the asset when we are capitalizing it at the beginning. And so we are very tenacious about what we're spending and putting the right amount of dollars in to lower risk and increase the odds of strong returns over time. So that's not a whole dollar. We're not just trying to manage to a low dollar. We want to spend every dollar that we should to lower the risk and maximize the return. And so being an investment manager enables us to have a strong balance sheet, to be able to have uh, not a finite amount of dollars, but where we're investing the dollars where we're going to get the highest risk return for our investors, to be able to make the right decisions, because that's where it's the most efficient. It's the most efficient as you're mobilizing all the resources and the architects, the designers, and and our team to get it right and deploying that work at that time. That's the most efficient time. It's where we can get the best leverage against that as well, so that we're borrowing money also to do that and having the appropriate leverage against the total cost. And that's been a success pattern. We create an equity multiple, um, and do it consistently and on a relative premium basis. So
So,
that's the goal. And what we continue to do is invest in the resources that can increase the odds that we're going to do what we say we're going to do. And it's that simple. And so to build the operating um, and development expertise was necessary in managing that process and how we create value. The truth is that if you do what you say you're going to do and deliver the investment return, everything works. There's plenty of economics for everybody in there. And when you're successful, then your investors invest again and again and again, and they trust you. And then you continue to grow the foundation of capital and the foundation of resources that you have to continue to amplify your competitive advantages.
so let's talk a little bit about Rockbridge and the investment thesis that you typically deploy. You've been focused on repositioning, acquiring assets that have been deprived of capital injection or poor management or whatever the case might be, and turning it around. Talk a little bit about that as
Yeah,
to what all goes into it. Then
yeah.
also, whilst you have delivered some phenomenal independent hotels, you've also worked with the brands at the same time. What goes into deciding what do you do and when do you do it, and how do you pick that jewel in the sand, if you would, that would have the value to be turned around and repositioned for multiple returns?
Okay, there's a lot to unpack there. We could have a whole podcast on that question. So I'll try to answer the first part of that question. Is that so? Hotels are both operating business and real estate, and operating businesses have operating leverage in them. When you don't reposition or have your asset positioned correctly for what the consumer wants, there's it it loses its competitive positioning, it loses its pricing power, and it starts the spiral down. When you're now no longer competitive, the only thing that can bring that property back is a massive investment in the asset. That is hard for owners um, to that have not reinvested in their asset to all of a sudden say, okay, now I'm going to put $30 million into an asset that's worth 10 million. I don't know how to do that's not how I create value. I don't know how to do that. Uh, and therefore it's worth what it's worth. So properties that we've bought have had zero cash flow. And what we have always done and have always been good at is identifying the assets that we can buy at a price that we can afford to make the investment that is right for that asset that will position it correctly. Um, and so the discipline is knowing what you have to invest in that asset and have the vision and creativity and stomach. And so that is first and foremost is that um, looking at that asset and what it can be, what is it missing. I like to sell is you can't sell what you don't have. So if there's a lot of really great companies and strong group business in a market and you don't have good group event space, that's just, you might as well be invisible to the market. And contradistinction, if that this property where you can go in and fix that and then address a market that of which you were invisible to before you fixed that and created a relevant meeting event and social event spaces that the market wants. Now you can redesign that for what the market wants today. So all the older properties are not as competitive as you. And now you're positioned in a way to address a market that the property could never address or take advantage of. And so it's really understanding the components of how you're going to create value versus and how you're going to monetize that investment. And ultimately, it's what the customer wants. And do we have what the customer wants? And I know that if we have it and create it, that we can go get it. And that is what creates durability. So if we do all that renovation and then COVID hits and there's not group business for 2 years, uh, we're not um, we're not in a position of desperation. We are in a position of being prepared for when that group business come back, that we're going to drive the value. And why we took less cash flow during those 2 years, we make it all up and back and drive uh the 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 total stabilized profits that then drive the value and make up for the loss of cash flow in the early years. And so that's how you survive through through those market cycles. And it's also what led us really, about 15 years ago into the 4 and 5 star what we call luxury lifestyle, is seeing what the consumers wanted, what experiences they wanted, and that there had been a generational change in the way people travel. And that was really at the beginning of that. And that was very clear to us that it was no longer just a commoditized clean room, clean shower, and that and a meeting room with no windows and just space that was going to give you longevity and durability with the customer over time. The traveler wanted more of the experience. Um, they wanted better space. They wanted a mix of space. They wanted leisure amenities that they wanted to be connected to the community that they were in. So when they were traveling, they were curious and becoming more and more uh, uh, mobile as society. Just and everything that's happened, the underpinnings of technology that's happened. And if you think about, the iPhone came out in only 20 years ago, not even 19 years ago, in 2007. And so, and the evolution of mobility and information unlocked the consumer to be able to curate their own travel and have all the information from multiple sources, not just a brochure from a hotel that they had that looked good, and then they got there and it was 5 years old, and they got the lighting just right and they staged it. Now you had real reviews and real photos from real customers that you could access. And so it just unlocked the customer to really pursue the experience that they wanted and to do it with far less risk than they did it 20 years ago, and why the large brands proliferated um, hotels that were clean and the same and not nice, but not unique. And That's what the customer wanted because they were so disappointed and with the risk of having a bad hotel stay. They abdicated their trust to a brand. Now you don't have to do that you can abdicate the trust to yourself because you can find the information and seek it out on your own, and that's changed the landscape, and changed the investment landscape, and something that we've been very intentionally um, working on over 15 years ago and building the company that we built in our luxury lifestyle platform in order to um, really take advantage of what the customer wants and where the demand is going. And now all the data is showing that. But we've built infrastructure and durable infrastructure um, to take advantage of that and deliver product that the customer wants today. And you see, every brand out there is um, working to do that, to create more of an experience and a more authentic experience. And it's just harder to do that. You can't just mail it in on a third party basis and expect to get it. And that's why bringing together the ownership, development, and operations is so critical in driving value to the owner, is building that total alignment in the ecosystem to address what is a big opportunity and a growth opportunity for us.
The um, unstable assets and putting the cap stack together on unstable assets typically is far more complicated. Other than your track record as a sponsor, what else do you do to convince the lenders and the investors and everybody else that these investments will yield the results?
Well, I mean, I think that um, a big part of that is how we built our company, where we build deep relationships directly with our partners and with our lenders and with our investors and with our operations team. We build those deep relationships, and so I think any strong relationship that induces anybody to do anything is trust. And so at the roots of why we are well capitalized and have great lending relationships is that they trust us, because being a good uh, borrower from a lender is pretty simple. Is that you sign and borrow money, and you agree to terms, and you pay your bills and you pay them back. What I always tell our lenders is that our job is to always be your best option for your best outcome. And that's what works us, that we don't rest on our laurels, that we are working hard to always be that best option, and they trust that. So when we need duration, like we've needed through past COVID and all the challenges that have ensued after COVID, with inflation and the the banking crisis in 23 and the administration changes that are happening that regardless of whether you agree with them or not, they've created business uncertainty with tariffs or with wars and conflicts. And so that just all those challenges uh, mean that um, duration is needed because the original duration of the loan might not accommodate that. So we work with that, and we will pay down a loan, or we'll enhance a covenant, or we'll extend it. We'll restructure it. All of which is that lenders have never lost money with us, and that our first job as an owner is to protect principal. The first person or group that you're protecting is your lender. And so if you have that mentality where you're always creating value and you're always protecting principal first, then lenders are happy and want to do more with you. And so when you go through cycles, um, it has been a good thing for us because those lenders no longer want to work with other group where they didn't have as good as of an experience, and they consolidate to kind of core groups that they will lend to. And then investors are the same way. They they are experiencing wherever their investments are through any cycle. Now, are you doing all the right things, and um, are you putting your shoulder in, working hard to create great outcomes? Because as I say, everybody works for somebody. I work for our investors, but I really work for our investors' investor, and our investors' investors are mom and dad's retirement. They're foundations that are trying to make the world a better place with whatever their cause is. It's universities that are doing research that could cure cancer. It's scholarships that they're giving to people. So when we do better, we are making a difference in the world, and that's really core to our purpose. Is that when if you look at our foundational language, it's we're steadfast optimists that we think we can and should make the world a better place. That's how we do that. We relentlessly pursue excellence in everything that we do. And the relentless is the part is that we never give up. We're a hospitality centered platform, and our purpose is cultivating value and enriching life. And that when our housekeepers know they're part of something bigger, where they're not working for me, they're not working for the institution, they're working for who they represent. And we do that on our teams, and training and building a culture and building career paths for people, and creating opportunities for that. So I think it all kind of emanates from that, and that gives us a bigger purpose in doing what we're passionate and love to do, but where we can really make a difference in how we do it.
Well, that's amazing. This purpose-driven philosophy has been core to your business, and you've talked about throughout the leadership, through your investment, your relationship with the community, not only as an investor in the community, but the travelers that go to that community. What led to that strong belief system that you still are practicing today?
Well, I think it was instilled in me at a young age with my family. I didn't totally understand it, but that was core my faith for sure. And And then when you come out of school, you want to be successful, and that means getting rewarded. But what you also learn is that um, uh, it's never enough. It doesn't change your life, and there's not purpose and joy in just making money. It's how you live, and so um, giving back is about doing our part in making the world a better place. And if we all do that, we'll have a much better place to live, but also being straight with people about what it takes. We're not preordained to get anything. And when you're humble and you're grateful and you're generous, um, and it's about how you make people feel. Um, and and so, and just really always working at that and trying to lead by example. And and it's hard, all the time, but if you have that true north, then if you get off course, you're tacking back to it. And, and so and so it was just really rooted. My grandmother is my role model in life, and she died when I was 15, but she immigrated uh, to the US when she was 23. My grandfather went back to Greece to find his wife. He was there for 13 days, met her on the third day. They married on the ninth day, and she left her home, her family, and went with a man she didn't know, where she'd never been, didn't speak the language, and had the courage to do that because she just had it in her that she wanted more than what her tiny village could provide, and she didn't know what it was, and she was not afraid to do that. And that spirit is what built America. It is the spirit of freedom, independence, and choice, that when you come here, you do have the freedom. It might be harder for you, but you can do anything here what you choose to do. And so if you make bad choices, you're going to have bad outcomes. And so I think about her all the time, about nothing in my life will ever rise to the occasion of the courage that it took her for her to make that choice. And it's humbling, and I respect it a lot. And so um it's I can constantly remind myself and see it. And when we see people in our hotels that are working for us that have gone through incredible sacrifice to come to our country, leaving their family, and they're in our hotel, and they're incredible team members, and they make the community better, and they're grateful. And I can see in them that things that they don't even know for themselves, that they're going to have a wonderful life. And that's a really important part of how I think and work. I make mistakes all the time. I get off course. Um, but I'm constantly tacking back, and I'm constantly challenging myself. And did I do the right thing? And the right thing sometimes is really hard in the moment and requires sacrifice. But over time, I can live with myself if I'm constantly challenging and making an effort to make things right. Um,
Amazing.
and I've been blessed with the opportunities, and but I always took advantage of those opportunities. And what I tell my kids and I tell everybody is that no matter what you choose to do, because it's your choice, do it to the best of your ability. And there is no career path. It is doing things to the best of your ability, learning, building relationships. Good companies will spot talent and will recognize it. And if they don't, somebody you're working with will. And if the time is right, you will know it. If the company's not um, meeting your needs or not capable of, they should be the first advocate for you and recommending you for other opportunities because that will come back to you. And so that um, that is the mindset, and it's worked.
As hard as it is for us to remember in the thick of our day-to-day responsibilities that any business is more than the income statement or balance sheet, but it is far more than that. It seems like you have built the business around those principles and you live those principles. Jimmy, we're running out of time. I could sit here
Y-
for hours on end
Yeah,
to be
yeah, yeah,
talking
yeah.
to you, but
Let me add one more thing to that. It's using that in designing the company and culture the way you want to, but as a tool to create results. Because at the end of the day, you have to create results. And that investment roots that I have and that we have is that discipline to know that we have to create results or we don't get to continue to do what we love to do. And and so that is an important, but you can do it in this way successfully if you're intentional about it.
wonderful. Look, couple of quick fire questions, one word
Yeah.
answers, if you don't mind. What does value mean to you and to Rockbridge from Rockbridge's lens?
Well, it's cultivating value and enriching lives. I mean, it really, everything gets summed up in that. If we do that, that is the value proposition that we have, uh, and so that is what it means to me.
So, if you look back throughout your career from your first initial investment to you starting an organization at a very young age, would you change anything?
No, I don't. I don't believe in mistakes or regret. I believe that they are learning opportunities for you to adjust your behavior. So Um, and that's what I wanna learn till and grow until the day, that I die, hopefully is a long time from now. And so, uh, I think that, that's just you cannot change the past, but you can change the future.
Amazing. If you were to pick one book or one advice or one mentor that completely changed how you deal with people and how you look at leadership, what might that be?
Wow. So obviously I talked about mentors. I've read lots of books, and learned something from them all. So, but one that I've read recently that I think is appropriate uh, for for me today is "Strength to Strength" by Arthur Brooks, and what it's basically saying is the science of your brain is a muscle, and when you're learning, your peak athlete when you're in your 20s and 30s, and you're building that muscle, and then when you get into your 50s, uh, your muscle's not as strong, and the concept is that the strength is that what you did with your brawn and your work ethic and your efforts and your experiences then has to go to wisdom, where you are able to guide and make bigger impacts with the strength of that wisdom. I believe that the best leaders, when they go from strength to strength, they leave the company in a better place where it has more opportunities than it had when you were there. And so the impact of that book is really being intentional about how I evolve my leadership over the next 5 to 10 years, that um, set the company up to have and grow leaders that then are taking the company to levels that uh, that we didn't take it, or I could take it, that bring something different to the table, but being really intentional about that. And the fortunate thing for me is that uh, I'm an owner of the business, so that I have the ability to do that and guide that well. But you've seen a lot of people that hang on too long, and so that is probably the thing that came to my mind as to what what I'm working on. And candidly, our investors that are relying on me to lead and build strength in the company that is durable over the long term, that it's good business and it's good for everybody. And that's what they want us to do. So we are continuing to reinvest in the organization to be better and set it up for that evolution.
Well, look, amazing conversation. There is still tons that we could have talked about, but we'll have to have you back to continue this
Yes,
conversation.
happy. That's what I was going to say, is that we'll have to do it again, and hopefully your listeners found it valuable or interesting, and happy to have a conversation with you anytime, Abid.
Amazing. I will take you up on it. I'm sure there is tremendous amounts that we can all learn, not only from leadership point of view, from business acumen and investment in this industry that we've all loved and spent a lot of time in. Jimmy, thank you so much for taking the
Thank
time to
you.
join me. I look forward to having you back.
Thank you, Abid.